What's up, everybody? My name's Kevin Toppenberg. I've been restoring a Bridgeport mill. Here we are the 1st of December. My apple tree here is all dried up, but our footage that we have is back in July, and that apple tree you're gonna see, it's got nice apples on it. Today we're going to work on getting the head back on, and that aluminum top, we get it nice and polished, looking very good. And I hope you enjoy our video today. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but there's a whole, I guess you call it a murder of crows, and they're chasing some sort of a hawk or a bird of prey. I saw that they were quite upset about him being there. Anyway, I think we got a good show. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and some comments. I will mention that, I struggle a little bit getting the head back onto the belt. There's probably a better way. I kind of like to figure out things. I've had some viewers wonder why I don't just follow the manual and do it the proper way, and because that would be too easy. Hope you enjoy it, and let me know if you have any thoughts. Thanks, bye. That device I have on the table there is where I will mount the head, and then I can use the knee and the X and Y axis to dial in and move the head into just the right position. The base of that was something I found in the scrap pile when I was taking a weld class, and then I machined that vertical standing piece, and it's supported both at the very base and then up at that upper level to keep it from pivoting. I think it's like about a 1-inch diameter, as I recall, so pretty stout, not likely to bend with the weight of the head. Why don't I just go directly on there, you say? I think it's going to be more difficult. Let's get some bolts in. One of my viewers, anticipating me getting to this point, had suggested taking a piece of cardboard and making a template with holes that matched the holes in the head, having the bolts stick through those, and then they would line up perfectly and slide the head on. I think it's a fantastic idea, but unfortunately I'd already actually done this. But for anyone else doing it, I think that would be a great solution. Getting those things all lined up was tricky. And then after they're all lined up and you're sliding the head back, you can just rip the cardboard to get it from around there, and you're good to go. Go up. Now let's come in. Future Kevin here. As I'm watching myself struggle with getting all of these bolts lined up exactly straight so that they'll slide down the barrel of that head, I think actually if I had 2 pieces of cardboard, one right at the base of the ram adapter, what I was calling before the neck, and then another piece out at the end of the bolt, and then that would actually maybe help keep them oriented straight, because I'm just having each one of those, as soon as I would get one level, then another one would move, and just getting them all lined up all at the same time is the problem. And I think maybe having 2 pieces of cardboard as templates separated would be helpful. Getting all 4 to line up at one time is tricky. All right, let me see if I can show trying to get these things lined up. It's close. So this is what, if I was trying to just do it dangling, I'd be trying to have to do all this while it's just dangling from the crane. I just think it would be more difficult. It's low by a long shot. Well, it's the next day. The memory in my phone ran out while I was putting the head on, so you'll have to take my word for it, but I just bumped and kept bumping the screws to find which one was the tight one, and then just kept adjusting it, moving it left, right, back, forth, up and down until I got that lined up and got it all put on. and tightened up these bolts. As I was bringing in, I wiggled this back and forth to make sure that it was meshing in well, and got that tightened up, and then disconnected the boom. All right, so now what to do with this thing. I'm gonna just start by cleaning it up. I don't have a VFD to run that motor. That's 3-phase. And so I am working on that. So I think in the meantime, I'm going to just clean it. I haven't decided if I want to try to do any Bondo. I mean, some places like this, I think might be relatively easy. If I clean this up all around, I might be able to fill that area in and then come and paint over it. I'm definitely not going to take it all the way down like I did the rest of it. I've gotten it a lot cleaner. I've actually been tilting that head back and forth to be able to see up underneath the different parts. I took this cap off and went down to Lowe's, had them put it under their little camera and color match. Now we're gonna see how it actually looks. The only thing we could get in the enamel was a gloss. They did not have a satin finish. I think there's a fairly good gloss on that. So now I'm gonna try touching up some little spots and see how it looks. Okay, I lifted the motor out here. You just have to loosen it up and pull the belt off. I've got it sitting down there. Now I'm going to get this whole aluminum top off because I want to clean it up and make it look nice and shiny. I've taken the top off my other mill a few times now. You can see there's a ribbed belt here. Maybe you can't see, but there is a ribbed belt. And it's going around the shaft that drives the spindle. So the way to get this off is as you're pulling out, is to just keep rolling this, and as you keep rolling, then the belt will just, come further and further down until finally it's free. So that's what I'm gonna work on, getting that loosened up.
Look how far we've come, and yet so far to go. We are balanced on the wire between our dreams and status quo. Tomorrow's perfect is not a sign for human eyes. We have to trust that fortune just around the corner lies. So staring straight ahead.
Okay, here I just got the top off. It's a little dirty, but the teeth down on that look pretty good. And the teeth on the other side look pretty good as well. I think this just needs to be cleaned a little bit. So let me work on that. I've got this head taken apart. Now it's dirty as all get out, but everything looks good. The bearings seem good. The brake seemed like it was working. I've got all the pieces, all the pins. I'm just super happy of how all this looks. I'd like to get kind of a polish on this aluminum. I may have to look into how people have done that. And then if I'm gonna work on the aluminum, what to do about these tags. I may try to pry the rivets out of there, but sometimes that messes up the tag, so I'll have to think about that. But this thing was filthy dirty. It took me probably an hour to try to clean it up. I mean, I vacuumed out, I think, all the dust, and I wiped out just the grime with paper towels as best I could. Then I used some of this simple green. I'd like to know if this thing has ammonia in it, because it sure makes me cough. Then I used some foaming engine degreaser and a garden hose and just kind of got it down to a dull roar. Then I took it up to my kitchen sink with hot soapy water and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed. And I think it looks pretty good now as far as getting all the grease off. Now I'm just trying to experiment with how to make it more polished. I took some fine, kind of worn out sandpaper. This is 80 grit, but there's like, I've used that to the point that I didn't feel like it was sanding anymore. These things are from the motor, but it seemed to make a lot of little fine scratches which would interfere with the polish. So I think that that's still too rough. I found some 120 grit and I went on there and it immediately took away much reflection. Now this is the undersurface and the back, so if I've messed it up, I haven't messed it up too bad, but I'm gonna see now if that will come out. So the steel wool took out all the little micro scratches, but it still left it with a satin finish. Actually, that finer paper that I did initially to give the satin finish was this one, 240. I decided to go ahead and try to sand all of this. It's a little terrifying because I'm hoping I can get back a nice shine. I did some tests under here and I think I will be able to. And I've been starting at a coarser grit and now I'm trying to move towards finer. So I thought I'd just show a quick view of this. I'm able to get these tags off. They're coming off pretty easily, so I thought I'd go ahead and show it. Just taking a utility knife and I kind of get it underneath there. And then I'm just going over to the edge and I'm just kind of wiggling it. And that's coming up. And that comes out pretty easily. These ones that aren't right at the edge are a little bit more tricky. This one doesn't want to come for some reason. Let's try this one. So I got these all four off here, no problem. As soon as I turn on the camera, it gets difficult. Let me see if I have something else I can pry into there. I start with just a plain putty knife. Looks like it may be pulling through the aluminum, which I'm not happy about. Now I'm going to try a wood chisel because it has a sharp edge. Yeah, see, that just pulled through the aluminum. Shucks. Yep, and that one pulled through as well. So again, I got wire cutters here to get right underneath that. Now it comes out. I couldn't get the wire cutters between that and the plate, so I couldn't do that before. So anyway, that was my experience. Okay, I've been working, say another 30 minutes. I went from some worn out 80 grit, then I went to, I think this is 120, and then I had some 240, and so I got all the way down to that, and that's got a pretty nice polish. And then I found this in my toolbox. I think it's for buffing a car, but I've got some of this white polishing powder, and I'm trying to put that on there and polish it with somewhat success. I mean, it's not a mirror finish. I decided to just finish polishing this off with some paper towel, and there was just a little bit of material left on, and as I've gotten all of that off, I think it actually looks nice. It's quite shiny. That looks good. Need to paint that background. I've just set it up there. In fact, it's not even on straight, but I think it looks cool. Before I put that head cover back on, I thought I would just take this plate off and look in here. And it overall looks pretty good to me. Those teeth look reasonable. Now that moves because that shaft is not holding it in place, but I think I'm just going to put some heavy-duty grease in here, some of this, and close it back up. Some of that grease, spread it around. That looks good to me. Okay, let's put this back together. I've already put the 4 little springs in there. This part is the spreader for the brake. That is the part that goes to the top. So this head is upside down right now, and that fits right down in there. This brake has got a spring here and a slit, and that's where the spreader is going to go. And if you notice, there's 1, 2, 3, and then the bolt holes are 1, 2, 3. So the one hole is opposite the spreader. All right, then we've got 3 bolts that look like this. And on this mill, they're all the same. Seems like my other mill, one of them was slightly different, but these ones are all the same. I have to kind of spread this apart. I said there was 1 spring. There's actually a spring on both sides, but the one on this side has a gap for the bolt to go in. Now on the other side, there we will put some nuts on this to keep these from vibrating out. But I'm not going to do that right this minute because I don't want my little springs to fall out. Next, this goes in, and Scotch-Brite this real good, and I did also in the inside to make sure I have a nice smooth sliding finish. I've done that already. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that's moving up and down nicely. And see, that has a spring on it now. Now, we gotta turn that over. Here's a 1, 2, 3 block. Okay, now, I may have to take this back out because you have to have these retention pegs that go in there, and there's 2 holes. There was the original, and then I think someone came back and redid it because one of them I think was walled out. So, all right, let's flip this back over and figure out which one is which. All right, this one has good threads, this other one does not. So I'm gonna make a mark in here. Let me just double check. Yeah, both of those have good threads. I guess it's because it's such a close fit is why it's so persnickety. Goodness. And then my hands get all black. You wouldn't think that I just cleaned this thing. Now this has to be then rotated. These little pegs will go in there and screw in there. And I'm going to, first of all, get it lined up and make sure they go in there. Then I'll need to put them in through the retaining ring. I do not like this design. It seems very fiddly. Well, I can see that there's no point in trying to get that set up ahead of time, so. All right, let's do this. Because it's just like, you gotta get everything all lined up. Okay. That's one in. That one's kind of bunged up. I'm just gonna hit that with the sander real quick. Okay, I got the second one started, and we'll run that in. And this is where our 3 nuts will go, but there's some lock washers which are left up at the house that I'll need to go get before we can put that on. And then as this rotates, it pulls the belt tree and also disengages this gear. Next thing is there's some set screws that go there. That's supposed to retain the screws, but I actually didn't see them because they were covered up in dirt, and I was able to unscrew them with these things still in. So I'm not sure how much value they are, but I'm gonna try to put them back. Tiny little thing, that's 1/16 is the Allen key. Okay, so there's 1 in, 2 in. All right, now this then is the lock and the holder for the lock. So that goes on there like that. There is a pin. There's a set screw on this left side, so I'm gonna put the set screw towards the head. I don't know if it matters or not. All right, let's put that set screw in. So that we can turn and then lift up and it jams up. And that, of course, that turns the thing which spreads the brake, and then, yeah, that holds pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna paint this background. When I look online, a lot of people have done the background in red, and then I went and looked at the museum where the first Bridgeport ever made has been stored. I think it's in Connecticut Museum of Industry or something. And when I zoom in, it looks like that one had a background of red. So I think red is the official color, and that's what I'm gonna do. This red enamel paint didn't completely cover. I think I'm gonna have to come back and do a second coat because I can see dark points through it. But it did pretty well. It was kind of hard to get down in the base, You know, I had to decide whether I was going to paint all the way up the sidewall up to the surface, and I had decided I was going to try to leave the sidewalls bare so that there would be more of that showing, but sometimes it was difficult to get that. So I'm going to let this dry, then I'll have to come back another day and maybe try to touch up some of the spots. But I think it looks good. I've got 2 pairs of glasses on because 1 pair wasn't good enough. I'm using this buffing wheel, which I turned off so it's spinning down. I'm getting a nice bright finish on that. This is the part that I haven't done yet, and I haven't done up here. I like it. I got packages in the mail. Got this pack of knobs. It came with 5. That was missing one, so I've got that on. Started that one on. I'm gonna replace this one. Those are the old knobs. That's the new knob. Gonna look better. The next new package I got is this scale. That's the old one, that's the new one. That's gonna go right there. One thing I want to point out about the screws holding on this scale, if you notice, this one is shorter than that one. And the reason is that there's this cylinder that goes up inside here, so it can't put a screw very far in there, it'll impact that. So this screw is the long one, that's the short one. The next new toy I got, this is the handle that came with it. It's very sporty, but I decided I would get this one. Now this is a little pricey, this was like 45 bucks, but I think it looks really nice. It slides on there. I don't understand what it is that holds it on there, but there's somehow with those ridges. Then, you can somehow lock it, I think. That'll go up, down, because I got my lock on. And then if you want to reposition, you can do that. The spring on this thing seems to be set so that it wants to go down. At some point I may need to change that, but not today. Okay, I've got this nice and polished. I really like how it gleams. I think it looks really good. But I'm concerned that just the bare aluminum is gonna oxidize over time. So I wanna have some sort of a barrier over it to kind of lock that in. And I'm gonna try this car wax. Now, a lot of the car products that I have bought in the past for my car, it'll say wax and then I open it up and it's just a liquid. But this actually does look like a wax. So I'm gonna try starting putting some on the bottom part and see whether it's gonna work. And if it does look like it's not gonna be too bad, I'm gonna try to cover all of the metal and see how it goes. I'm gonna take a break for a minute from that. I don't know that the audio will come through on the video, but it's pouring right there and I have a tin roof and I can hear it and I thought it was kind of cool. Something very peaceful about rain. Making mud puddles. And let's see if I can catch, I think I saw a turkey, a wild turkey. There they are. Can you see them? Hanging out in the rain. Okay, I put the spindle and everything back together. I showed that before, so I didn't show it again. Now let's see if we can get this up on the head. Okay, there are a couple tricky things that have to be thought about when putting this head back on. First of all is this ribbed belt. This is the one that came with it, but I'm looking at it and it looks in pretty good shape. It's very flexible. I don't see any fray marks on it, so I'm gonna continue with that. So you would think like with a rubber band, you kind of stretch it over and then let it snap back on, but you can't do that with this. And it's got a plate on the top which prevents it kind of from sliding up or down. I could possibly take that plate off, but I found another way that you can do it. So I first put that over there and get that over here. So this is where the other piece is gonna come down on there. The second part is that this belt has to go underneath this thing to get up onto the pulley tree. So that will also have to get on there. So, all right, so that spindle shaft goes over there. All right, I'm gonna take my drive belt. Now that it's over the shaft, or the shaft is through, it can really just go up and out of the way. All right, now as I'm looking in there, this front gear is, sitting on top of the edge of the belt. And that's what I'm gonna have to slowly work around. And what I found before is if I just spin the head, it will usually gradually work on. Let's see if that's true in this case. Get that nice and tight there. I'm trying to work it underneath there. I've done this on my other mill several times. It's not fun, but it's usually doable. Okay, got one of the tooth on one side. Come on. Okay, you have to change this part until the back wheel is free to move on its own, or free to move. Then, that's the part you want to rotate, is that back wheel. Come on. I bet you someone's knowing the proper way to do this. This is what I thought I'd figured out. And they'd be like, you fool, just do it this other way, it's so easy. I'm trying to use this to just kind of just straighten up that belt. Keep trying to get caught underneath the gear. I may end up having to take off that top plate after all. When the weight of this thing comes down, the belt just kind of wants to wrinkle. Rather than have you sit and watch me struggle, I'm going to turn this off and then I'll tell you how I did it after I succeed. Okay, I realized a couple of things. Number one, I was trying to turn down here at the base, but that is not linked to this until that comes down and mates, and of course it can't because the belt is there. So rather than trying to turn down here, I need to spin this front gear. That's getting it, and now it's, I think it's on all the way around, and now I can just slip it. Okay, so now it's just like on the bottom third, and as I keep rotating it, I'll be pushing down. Well, I thought it would slip right up. Let's help it along a little bit. Prying upward on that belt as I rotate the front wheel. Boy, it's persnickety. It's now about 3/4 of the way on. Not sure why it doesn't just completely slip all the way down. All right, it's basically on. All right, now I just think I need to get the pins lined up for the head to go down. Ah, the other belt is in the way. That's the problem. Come on, belt. Come on, you can do it. This is the belt that goes between the motor and the front pulley. There. Now keep spinning that front part to make sure that it's on. Woohoo! Yeah! See? Wasn't that easy? Let's get the bolts back on. Let's get these placards back on, or machine tags, I guess would be the better word for it. When I went to take this one off, some of the heads pulled through, so the hole widened out a little bit. But I was able to flip it over and kind of hit on the backside where it had ballooned out, and it flattened out, and that made the hole smaller again, I'm thinking. So I think the fact that there's not a lot of stress here, and the fact that there was a couple that did hold, I think that's going to work out just fine. And I put some of that polish on there as well. Fingerprints everywhere. That's the problem with the polish. Okay, I think we'll stop it there. I haven't looked at the niche set of footage, but I think we're going to start working on the motor and the VFD. So we'll see how that goes next time. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and some comments. And as we go into the holiday season, I'm looking forward to Christmas, and I hope you all have a wonderful time, and I hope families, and especially also I hope that you all stay well. It seems like every time everyone gets together for Thanksgiving or Christmas, someone spreads some germs, but get your COVID booster. All right, thanks, bye.
Peace out.